So I've been watching a lot of tennis recently. I've been playing it. I'm not good. I didn't play seriously for my entire life. So it'd be weird to try to play seriously now, just volleying around and stuff. And that's how I fucked my leg up. You guys know that story. I told you it. But I enjoy playing tennis, and I've also enjoyed watching it. It's actually very suspenseful and dramatic sport to watch. So there's a lot of great stuff that's on all the time. The other thing is, it's almost like there are tennis matches every week because the events are so long. So there's always something to watch. And the world number one player is a guy by the name of Daniel Medvedev. And actually, the first tennis match I watched was when he beat Djokovic at the U.S. Open, when Djokovic was going for the Grand Slam, the 4 majors in a row in the same calendar year. Last time somebody did that was like 1969 or something, so it would have been huge. And Djokovic also would have gotten to 21 majors. And he didn't win that. Medvedev won it. And then, of course, all the things happened with Djokovic and not taking the vaccine, and now he's not able to go to a lot of the different majors, and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so Medvedev is now under fire from Wimbledon for a very bizarre reason. So let's take a look at the story here, and I'll break it down for you. CBS says, Daniel Medvedev may have to denounce Vladimir Putin in order to avoid Wimbledon ban. The WTA does not agree with the idea, which came from British sports minister Nigel Huddleston. Okay, so let me read you some of the article as well. Russian tennis star Daniel Medvedev's road to Wimbledon in June may have to include more than just his play on the court. British sports minister Nigel Huddleston said during a UK Parliament Select Committee meeting on Tuesday that he may ask for assurances that Medvedev does not support Russia's invasion of Ukraine ahead of the tournament. During the meeting, Huddleston made it clear that symbols of Russia will not be permitted at Wimbledon, which runs from June 27th to July 10th. Here's more of what he said via CNN. Absolutely nobody flying the flag for Russia should be allowed or enabled. We need some potential assurance that they are not supporters of Putin, and we are considering what requirements we may need to try and get some assurance along those lines. Okay, so Daniel Medvedev already came out and said, I don't want the war, I'm for peace. He already came out and said that. They're saying, or at least at Wimbledon, the WTA is not saying this, but the Wimbledon is coming out and saying, that's not enough. We need you to directly denounce Vladimir Putin. Now, here's why this is so absurd, and it's extreme to ask for something like this. Daniel Medvedev probably has family in Russia. If he goes out there and in very clear terms directly goes after Vladimir Putin, you might be putting his family in danger. Now, Crystal made a good point about this. Why is it that when it was with Peng Shuai, everybody understood that when it came to China? Like China, because she made Me Too allegations against some Chinese government official. They basically, kidnapped her, but everybody understood, like, well, when she's freed, we're not going to ask her to directly denounce the Chinese government because that's, you're putting your family in danger. Like, these things are, if you're dealing with an authoritarian government, the collective punishment mindset of like, well, they're all guilty. It's just so bizarre. Daniel Medvedev didn't do the invasion. Daniel Medvedev called for peace. And even that's not enough. And they're like, you have to directly call out Putin, therefore maybe putting your family in danger from the authoritarian government. I mean, this is insanity. So basically, just because he's Russian, they're being bigoted towards him and saying, maybe we don't allow you to play in Wimbledon unless you say these words. And look, I'll go a step further. Even the idea of, we're not going to fly any Russian flags. So now Russia is only defined by Putin's invasion of Ukraine? That's it? No. I don't believe in that at all. That's like saying at an Olympic event after the U.S. invasion of Iraq around the same time frame, we don't fly the American flag here. Well, why not? Well, George Bush invaded Iraq. Okay, but the American flag doesn't just stand for what the current president is doing, however immoral and terrible it is. That flag, to that person who's the athlete, that flag represents their own hard work and blood and sweat and tears and fighting to be the best at whatever the sport may be. It represents everything. It's all in the interpretation of it. So yeah, the American flag, you could argue, represents the nuking of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the Iraq War and slavery and Jim Crow, but then you could also turn around and argue it represents, Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Act and free speech, and the list goes on. And to the athlete, it may just be, that's where I'm from, and so that's where I did all my work, this is who I'm representing, etc. And they're saying, no, we're not, even if he wins, which he's the number one player in the world, there's a decent chance he wins, we're not going to fly that flag. It's just bigotry. It's just bigotry. That's all it is. There's no ends, ifs, or buts about it. I don't see another interpretation of it. It's just collective punishment because Medvedev happened to be born on the same patch of dirt that Vladimir Putin controls in an authoritarian way. It's not his fault. He didn't do anything wrong. And now you're making him a victim because of what Putin's doing. Now, since this article originally came out, Medvedev actually dropped to number 2 in the world. Just to be accurate for everybody and let them know, he got knocked out a little early in the Miami Open, and so he dropped a little bit. But he could be back to number 1. I don't know, but that doesn't change the specifics and the nature of the story here. It's collective punishment. It's fucked up, and I feel really bad for him because what more do you want? He called for peace. And he probably doesn't want to put his family in danger. And maybe even calling for peace would have done that. It was already brave for him to say that. So, not good, man. Not good. By the way, in watching tennis, Medvedev actually is one of my favorite players to watch because he's really defensive. It's like he's like how Floyd Mayweather is like the most brilliant defensive boxer of all time. He's like a defensive genius at tennis. When he beat Djokovic in the U.S. Open, he just was able to return everything. Like, you just couldn't get anything by him. He doesn't do anything fancy. He stands far back, and he's got an unorthodox stroke, but he's just great. He's just fun to watch. And so, it would be a shame if he's banned from Wimbledon, and it's crazy to me we're even having this conversation, but nonetheless, this is where we are. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.